Good. Audio testing, 1, 2. Oh, we're live. What's up, people? Happy Wednesday, happy Wednesday, happy Wednesday, happy Wednesday, happy hump day. This is the Damien Jones podcast where we talk about news, politics, and life in a fun and adulterated way. We have a good bit to talk about today. So much happened on yesterday. My head is exploding, people. I have read so many comments as it relates to Joe Biden's vice presidential nominee. You have opinions. I have opinions. Our guests will have opinions today. We're going to have a robust conversation on today. But make sure you take a moment right now and let's go ahead and share as you come into the room. We've got a great panel of very thought-provoking and brilliant women today that are going to talk to us about can the VP nominee Kamala Harris help Democrats win back the White House? That is the question. That is the question. Is this a winning ticket? Was it the right choice? And so we are going to unpack that on today. But take a moment right now and just share, bring folks into the room. I'm so delighted to be with you on today. Give me a second to share here, people. Join us. We want everybody in the room for this vital discussion, this very vital discussion. As always, folks, I hope that you are safe. I hope that you are well. I hope that you are wearing a mask. I hope that you are social distancing as well. Coronavirus has not left the building. It's in the building and it's alive and well. So let's make sure that we are practicing the safest health practices to make sure our families remain safe each and every day. Let me take care of some technical stuff really quick. Oh, no. No, I didn't say delete that. Save that and then go back here. Give me 1 second, y'all. There we go. Put my description in here. But y'all tell me in the comments. Tell me in the comments, people. Was it the best choice? Are you excited about Kamala Harris being the possible vice presidential nominee? Let me know in the comments. We want to hear from you. We want this to be a very interactive discussion today. We're going to hear from all sides on today because we want to be an informed audience. We want to be an educated audience. We want to make the best decision. Listen, I tell you, this platform, we are fair and balanced. I don't care who you vote for, people. I have my personal leanings, but I don't care who you vote for. I just want you to vote, and I want you to be informed as you make that decision, people. Absolutely. Come on in the room. And so, listen, I saw the pick yesterday. I had a tough day at the post office yesterday. Post office kind of ticked me off a little bit. And so the pick came through my phone, and I was not surprised. I told y'all 3 weeks ago that Senator Harris would be the pick, and for various reasons, right? But we're going to hear from today's guest today. So let me bring these folks into the room so you can hear directly from these wonderful folks. And so first we have our good friend Demetra K from the Demetra K Show. Demetra, how are you? Can you hear me?
Yes, yeah, okay. I was on mute. I am well, thank you.
Absolutely. And then we also have Pam Gaskin, who is a voting rights activist here in the state of Texas. Pam, welcome to the podcast. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you.
Absolutely. And also joining us by phone is Chris White, who is a political strategist and policy expert as well. Chris, how are you? Welcome to the podcast.
I'm doing wonderful. Thank you.
Absolutely. It's just wonderful how technology works. And so, listen, I actually had a different topic to talk about today. Things kind of God put things to be that I would talk to y'all today about this particular topic, this polarizing topic. Listen, history is before us. We've never had in my lifetime a black or a person of color, a woman as the vice presidential nominee. So folks are talking about this across the board on Fox News, on MSNBC, in the barbershops, in the salons, and in the churches, group meetings, everywhere. And so I wanted to hear from women today. I wanted to hear what you ladies thought on this particular topic. And so, Demetra, I'll start with you. When you heard the news that Joe Biden had chosen Senator Kamala Harris as his vice presidential nominee, what were your thoughts? And let me also preface this by saying, folks, Demetra is a resident of California, and so she has seen the senator firsthand for many years. But what were your thoughts?
Well, I will just say, and hello to the other guest on the show. I would just say my phone rang off the hook because I was unplugged from social media most of the day yesterday, and people wanting to know if I knew and what I thought. And I'm not shocked, but I kind of am shocked. I didn't really think they would. They, being the Democratic establishment, would pick Kamala due to her and Joe Biden having a similar record. They're the same people, especially when it comes to Black people. They are very adverse to Black people. They've done adverse things to Black people. And so that's why I didn't really think they would do it. Also, I didn't think they would do it because white people, especially white women, didn't vote for Hillary. Why would they vote for a Black woman? And so also Joe Biden being the oldest candidate to run for the presidency of the United States at 77 years old. Clearly, there's something going on. We don't know exactly what's going on with him. But what if he doesn't make it 4 years? Then you have a Black woman, which, ordinarily would be okay. A Black woman as the president of the United States. How many white people are really going to fall for that?
Yeah. You make some good points. Pam, hop in here. What were your thoughts? I know this is also your soror, aka soror. What were your thoughts when you heard the news that Kamala Harris is the VP nominee?
Well, Damien, I was surprised. And quite frankly, she was not my first choice.
Interesting.
For him as VP. I was in the Susan Rice column.
Okay.
And for a lot of reasons, but he's made his choice. I have often said that Joe Biden could have picked a trained SEAL and I would still vote for the ticket. Because what's in the White House now must go. And the only way for him to go is for him to be voted out. We have no third party running. So your choice, and I am a voting rights activist. I believe that our democracy works best when we all vote, no matter how we vote. Because if we can get to a 90% vote rate, the people's will be done. Right now, we're not there. So I was surprised. I'm happy. Yes, I'm a 54-year member of Alpha Kappa Alpha. And, but quite frankly, her letters don't mean a darn thing in terms of governance. And I think she's proven herself. So that's where I am.
Okay. You made some interesting comments. I'm going to come back to you on some of the things that you said. But Chris, hop in here. Just tell us your initial thoughts when you heard the news.
I would love to. I guess I have to preface my initial thoughts with a few pieces of information. So I am a alumna of the illustrious Howard University, and I also am a California native. I've lived on the East Coast for 15 years now, but I was born and raised in Sacramento. And so I know that there are a lot of critiques that have come out about Kamala in California. And even still, while knowing all of that information, I must say that I am not surprised, A, but B, I'm happy. And the reason why is because she has the base. She has the base in what she garnered in running for president. She has the presence. And the other candidates that were in the running to be VP didn't necessarily have the presence. And that, honestly, unfortunately, it goes a long way. When it comes to politics and when it comes to trying to galvanize a base, something that the Republican Party has done very well. Non-college white voters, as we've seen, they've been able to galvanize them to the hills, and it works. And so I think for the Democratic Party, I do believe that this was a strategy move. I do believe that she will have some challenges overcoming some of her choices with her record as a prosecutor. But we have to remember that she was a prosecutor. And I don't think we can demonize her for that, because we've given, as a society, for lack of better terms, incompetent white men, lots of chances and lots of opportunities. And so this Black woman, we must now rally behind this ticket, because I'm in agreement with you, Pam. We must vote. I think it's very important that we, as a collective, as a community, Black communities everywhere, we galvanize ourselves and we make sure that we turn out at the polls.
Yeah. No, you all have made some great points. And we have some great viewpoints here, folks. Damien Jones podcast, talking to Chris White, Pam Gaskin, Demetra K, about this vice presidential nominee, Kamala Harris. Is she the right person? Will she bring America together? Will she help overcome some of the challenges with Joe Biden? Will she help Democrats win back the White House, given all the challenges that both the presidential nominee and the vice presidential nominee have? Pam, I want to come back to you for a second. You said that she was not your first choice. Why was that?
Well, I tend to look at elections globally, and I really thought that she would be a great attorney general.
Okay.
For this reason, we have the current administration, the Republican Party since 1980 actually since Nixon in 72. That Republican Party has stacked the courts. And, for everyone who talks about criminal justice and criminal justice reform, and that's one of my top 3 issues, I looked at some of the things that she did in California. And I know her critics say, she was tough on Black people, and she was hard on Black men. The woman was a prosecutor. Her job was to put people in jail. But I look at some of the things she did, some of the diversion programs she did, some of the marijuana diversion programs that she did. And who better to run a justice department where there is no justice right now? And if we, I see on here, folks have said, what are we voting for? If you don't like Kamala Harris, if you don't like all of this, vote for Ruth Bader Ginsburg, because I'd like to give her the ability to retire with some measure of life left. But we have only, as Black people, won victories in the courts. And the courts right now are pretty much packed against us. And Mitch McConnell has I think he's filled over 200 vacancies.
I think
Most of those were,
they all are filled.
and he held them up. He held them up during Barack Obama's tenure. So, she wasn't my first choice, but I'm glad she's there. I think that she will provide valuable input in terms of criminal justice reform. She's been there. She's done the work.
So let me, Demetra, I'm coming to you here, and I know you're hearing what Pam is saying. Pam has already walked down that pathway of criminal justice reform. I know you've seen it firsthand, and I know you have those reservations when it comes to criminal justice reform. Kind of talk about why a lot of folks in California were not a big fan. We know that the poll said that she probably wouldn't have won the state of California when she ran for president. And for me and for others, just looking at the data, that was questionable. Maybe that was because of her prosecutorial record. Maybe there was some other things. I don't know. And so kind of talk about the temperature in the state of California and how folks have viewed the vice presidential nominee along her career. in her record on criminal justice?
Well, I just like to first start off saying the job of a prosecutor is not to put people in jail. The job of a prosecutor is to seek justice, even if that justice means letting people go. And that's not what Kamala did when she was in California. We know that she's locked up at least 1,500 people due to marijuana violations. And as Tulsi Gabbard so eloquently pointed out, she laughed about it when she was on the Breakfast Club, talking about, because she's Jamaican per se, they smoked some weed. And so, it was funny when she did it, but there's people still in jail to this day. Also, when she was a DA in San Francisco, she enacted a truancy law that actually did target Black and brown people. And a lot of people like to say, oh, well, nobody actually got locked up. That's a lie. Go look up Cherie Peoples. The police and the news camera showed up at this Black woman's house to see her get locked up, go to jail behind her child who was suffering from sickle cell anemia, get locked up. And so we know what Kamala has done. Also, there's a lot of people who she refused to even look at their evidence and letting them out of prison. One of those men is Kevin Cooper. I don't know what happened here.
You good. No, you good. You good.
Well, one of those men is Kevin Cooper, who was accused of murder. And he's been in prison since the 80s. And there's been plenty of evidence to say that he is not guilty. But she refused at one point in time to even have him retested until Dianne Feinstein and then Governor Brown said, hey, let's give this man's case another look. And so now they're waiting for his DNA test to come back. She's also been an advocate of keeping people in prison for free labor, even though they were able to get out. She was like, no, leave them in there. We're benefiting from the free labor. So I can go on and on about, the record of Kamala. So, I guess maybe she's done some good things, but the things that she's done bad outweighs those things. And that's why I said Joe Biden and Kamala are virtually the same people.
Yeah. You make some good points and with great passion. And I don't think you are the only person that may feel that. Because as I scroll, you can learn a lot from reading Twitter, and Twitter will tell it all to you. And so you see a lot of folks saying, "Hey, this is a great pick, historic." But then on the other hand, I'm hearing the things you're saying, Demetra. I'm hearing other drawbacks from folks who dig deep into the policy. We know a lot of Americans don't have the time to dig deep into the policy discussion. They really vote on a euphoria. They vote on a feel. They vote on some type of connection that they feel. And so we appreciate when folks bring up those policy discussions. But Chris, let me come to you on this one. You hear these things that Demetra has talked about. You mentioned just earlier in your comments that she's going to have to answer those questions about her prosecutorial record. It is what it is. A prosecutor is going to have some questionable things just because it was their job. As a strategist, how do you think the Democratic ticket will be able to speak to the American people, to talk through and to kind of explain some of those challenges on her prosecutorial record, given that we are in the era of a George Floyd, where we're talking about social unrest, we're talking about easing up the heavy hand of the law on Black and brown people. How do you think the ticket will kind of speak to those things and kind of bring folks together?
To be very honest, I think that the Democratic ticket and Kamala Harris right now, because of what's happening in our country, I do believe that she's going to have to be candid. I think that, like I said before, we have given incompetent, old, white men too many chances to represent us in Senate seats.
Joe Biden, one of them.
Yeah, very true. And we've in Senate seats and House seats, in local and state seats as electeds. And I don't think it's fair that we not give this Black woman a chance to evolve and to grow. I think that she probably has grown tremendously from her time in California. And I think that her prosecutorial record isn't something that she isn't aware of. I know for just firsthand that Black communities in California are not happy in mass about her selection for being VP. Yes, there are activists. I'm an activist, so I keep my ear to the ground. And there are other activists that have, vehemently disagreed with me in my stance and my take on allowing for her to grow and seeing what she demonstrates in this moment. I also think it's very important to not forget what is at stake. What is at stake right now is Supreme Court nominations. What's at stake right now is the presidency if Joe Biden croaks, right? What's at stake is, judicial appointments all over the nation. So I think we mustn't forget about how important those things are. And this is less about Kamala and her record and her as an individual, and more about, we have to look at this from a strategy perspective, in that, does she have the presence to unite our country? Now, I think, Demetra, you made a good point earlier about are white people going to, I guess, in air quotes on this, fall for voting for her? And I don't think it's about, whether we're trying to pull the wool over their eyes. Black women have always had the best interest of humanity at heart when we are in leadership roles. And so I think that speaks volumes. And naturally, that's something that's going to resonate with our society. I also think that the biggest challenge that Kamala herself will have to overcome, like I said, is her prosecutorial record. And I think that how to do that is to be honest about it, is to be honest about what her thought processes may have been then. I think that's what we've seen Joe Biden do, right? We've seen him say that he helped author the crime bill, but you know what? He's grown, he's evolved. Okay. There's really not more that we can say. Now, I think, like I said, we have to remember that this is about the soul of our nation. This is literally a fight for the soul of our nation, because if we do not get on board with this Democratic ticket, and if our Black communities do not vote, we could have another 4 years of a dictator, and he's leveraging other countries to help keep us oppressed, and that is a scary thing.
Yeah. Oh, valuable discussion here, people. Valuable discussion, various perspectives. Keep your comments coming, folks. I see your comments. We really, really appreciate it. This is your first time watching this broadcast. Like the broadcast, give us a thumbs up. You're a regular viewer, give us a heart right now. Keep the comments coming as well. Let me ask you this, Pam, I'm coming to you on this one here. Why did Joe Biden choose Senator Harris? He had some other choices. Stacey Abrams, you talked about Susan Rice, Val Demings. I think Tammy Duckworth may have been in the discussion, Gretchen Whitmer. There were others to choose from, but why Senator Harris in your view?
Well, I can't speak for Joe Biden. I don't know who or why he chose her. I can make some generalizations.
Sure.
Why not Stacey Abrams or Val Deming or some of the other very well qualified women? Kamala is proven. Kamala has won every election that she's put her name on the ballot.
Okay.
Kamala is a fighter. And let's not forget, Kamala took it to Joe Biden, and she took the fight to him.
Absolutely.
And Doris Kearns Goodwin, in her book about the Lincoln presidency, Team of Rivals, and he's kind of going in the same direction that Barack Obama did when he appointed Hillary Clinton as Secretary of State. You bring in those because they understand this is politics. When it's all said and done, it's politics. And he was looking for a fighter. He's looking for someone to take it to him. The woman is cool, calm, and collected. She's not easily rattled. And, I think he was looking for someone who would show strength and grace. And she does. She just doesn't get rattled. If you saw her in those hearings, she just stays right on task. And I think that's what he was looking at.
Absolutely. Demetra,
from where I sit,
Okay. Demetra, your thoughts. Why did Joe Biden choose Senator Harris for this particular role?
Well, I think Joe Biden was pressured into picking a Black woman, because we've heard everybody, especially a lot of high-profile people in the Democratic Party, saying we want a Black woman, we want a Black woman, we want a Black woman. And for whatever reason, I think Joe Biden believes that all Black people are Democrats and that we would hold him accountable for not picking a Black woman. I don't think he really wanted to. Well, hell, we saw him lead out the gate with Amy Klobuchar, but that was shot down due to her prosecutorial record. So, I mean, he didn't really want a Black woman at first, but I think he felt pressure to do so. And as far as saying, well, we're sick of seeing old white men going into the White House or whatever. Well, if Kamala goes into the White House, she's married to an old white man. So, I mean, she is. So, I mean, I don't know how much that is. And, and no disrespect to anybody, but I haven't heard not one thing that Kamala is going to offer Black people. I've heard she's tough. She's going to stay on task. She doesn't buckle to pressure. But what does that actually do for us as Black people? We've heard Kamala say unapologetically that she's not going to go in there and do anything specifically for Black people, but she goes in there and does specific things or wants to for everybody else, whether it's DACA, LGBTQ, and everybody else. But she was, rather boastful about, I'm not going to do anything specifically for Black people. And so I'm trying to figure out why we as Black people are so excited over a whole bunch of nothing. What is she offering us other than her being, and she's not the only Black woman VP that's running. There's an Angela Walker running under the Green Party, but most people don't know about her. We're so busy with these, the first Black woman to do this. But what is she going to do for us as the first Black woman? Yeah,
that's a great question. Chris, I'll throw that one to you.
I would love to answer that. So I actually completely agree with you. In that space, in that I do believe we need to hold our elected officials and our candidates accountable. There are ways to do this. I am a founding member of Our Black Party. It's a new 527 initiative right now, and it is we are in the inception phases of really just getting the name out there. But what the vehicle aims to do is to hold Black elected officials accountable, and not only hold them accountable, but to get more Black electeds in office, and then also to policy that actually helps us secure our Black promise and our Black future that has been so unsanctimoniously denied to us for years. So I think that it's very important to hold her accountable. I think her narrative is going to change, and I think we have to wait and see. Now that she has been given the nomination as VP, I think we have to wait and see, because she has to fall in line. She has to fall in line with what has already been set. And what's already been set.
Chris, let me ask this really quickly. That's I mean, I know we you're saying we have to wait, but just given what she already has done, what could Black folks, American people, look forward to given her previous record? Are there any positive things? And I'm not saying there aren't. I'm asking you.
Yes.
Any positive things that folks can look forward to say, hey, she's done X, she's done Y, she's done Z. And I'm sure she will be able to influence Joe on these particular things. Are there any things you can speak to?
Yes, certainly. So there are a plethora of community programs that she spun up in California while she was prosecutor. And so I think that we have to look at the good with the bad. Demetria, I know you said that you feel like there's more bad than good, but I actually disagree with that. I think that it takes a lot of guts to put up and spin up programs that will specifically benefit Black and Brown communities and Black and Brown children. And so those are things that she did do. And I think that those things need to be highlighted a little bit more. But I think, like I said, holding our electeds accountable is number one, because just because she is, a proud alumna of the illustrious Howard University doesn't mean that I'm going to blindly support this ticket if for some reason the ticket does not deliver on their promises to Black people. Joe Biden already has a pretty sound, actually, policy initiative for Black people entitled Lift Every Voice. I encourage, everyone here listening to this podcast to look it over, check it out. And if for some reason you don't see something that you want to see, then get into some good trouble and make sure that, you're finding a way to get to people like myself and these two other women on the line. And, Damien, you get to people like us and try to find a way to have a voice, because there are ways to get your policy messages out there. There are ways to, try to influence the ticket before they hit the debate stage. And I think that's something that a lot of us don't know. So I encourage, everyone who's sitting around who really feels, maybe a little just disheartened that she's the choice, or that the Democratic ticket just doesn't seem as exciting as it should. Find a way to get into some good trouble.
Yeah. So let me ask you this, and I'm loving this conversation. Y'all really, really lifted my spirits today. Damien Jones podcast, talking with Pam Gaskin, Chris White, Demetra Kay around, can this VP nominee Kamala Harris invigorate Democrats to get to the polls and win back the White House? And speaking of getting to the polls, invigorate, I've read comments that said that, hey, Black folk ought to be sprinting to the polls now to elect this Democratic ticket. And so for me, I've been very critical of Joe Biden, and I won't be, I won't go in too much today because I made some promises to some people. But I was very skeptical that he even would pick a Black woman. I didn't think he would do it. I don't have a lot of in Joe, but he did so. And I told folks, I said, if he picks a Black woman, then I'll lay off Joe. I'll lay off all my critiques with Joe because he did what he said he would do. And so I give him credit for that. But in my mind, a lot of folks are not invigorated. A lot of folks are not excited about Joe. But then when you add this young, vibrant, kind of inspiring senator to the ticket, I think it could give a lot of folks incentive, particularly Black folks, the incentive of history. So in my view, it says it's no longer about Joe. It's about going to the polls to make history for Black folks, kind of what we did with Obama. I'd be honest with you, I didn't vote for Obama because of any policies. I voted because he was Black, and I wanted to see a Black man in the White House, just to be frank with you. And so I think that dynamic could play as well when it comes to Senator Harris. Pam, what tell me what you think from that standpoint about the historic value of folks going to the polls to help elect Senator Harris as the next vice president?
Well, I'm going to take you back further than before all of you were probably born. I remember arguing with my father when I was a freshman at the University of Texas in 1965 about, well, actually I was in high school, about going to support Lyndon Johnson.
We got some history on here today. Okay.
Daddy, he's a racist. He's in the he's part of the Democrats, the Southern Democrats, that want to keep things like they are. The man says Negro. I mean, for God's sake, Daddy, how are you going to vote for him? and he said, well, darling, and my father helped organize the NAACP in Texas. So I come from a line of activists. He said, well, darling, let me explain something to you. We've got some things going on, and Lyndon Johnson is listening. He said, we're going to have a Voting Rights Act signed, and it will be signed before you go to college in September of 1965. It was done. The man evolved. So what do I say? We have purity tests. We want 100%. What are you doing for Black people? I had people tell me, what did Barack Obama do for Black people? I said, who are the most underinsured, health insured people? Just because the Affordable Care Act didn't say this act is for Black people, it benefited us. It benefited us in greater numbers. So I say, look back at history and then look forward. Yeah. Let's not, as Chris said, yeah, there's some things in the past, but we are moving forward. And forward, we have to say, can this ticket, because I'm going to ask you, who are you going to vote for? If you don't vote for this ticket, yes, hold them accountable. I believe in accountability. Yeah. I write letters every day. I have written letters every day to the 2 senators from Texas who absolutely don't want to hear what I have to say.
They respond to you?
But damn it, no, they don't. They give me a canned response. But you know what? I pay taxes, and I'm a constituent, so I do my due diligence. And I think we all need to hold people accountable. Tell them what we expect. We need to tell this ticket what we expect.
Absolutely, I agree. I was talking about that last night on Demetria's show about how we fell in love with the Obama administration. We fell in love with the picturesque Black family, Sasha Malia, Bo the dog, Michelle Obama, towering figures. But maybe those last 6 years, we forgot to hold them accountable and to keep loving pressure on them to do certain things. And so a lot of folks, when Obama left office, a lot of folks were not pleased. But I want to pose this question because I know there are a lot of younger voters who are in limbo right now, who feel like their voice is not being listened to, who feel like the old folks are wagging their finger at them saying, you better vote no matter what, vote blue no matter who, folks have died, so forth and so on, right? And I don't know if that language is permeating with them. But the larger question that they are asking, and as you talk about, Pam, you said we got to move forward. And that's true. But the younger folks are saying, what's Joe Biden done for Black people in his 30, 40 year run in Congress? You know, and I'll open that question up for anyone to take. But can someone answer that question for me particularly? And I don't want to bang on them. I just want to ask a basic question because these are questions. Answering type of question is going to get that younger population to the polls if it's answered the right way. What has Joe Biden done for Black folks?
Nothing.
I have to agree. Nothing.
He's not going to get younger people to the polls because if you look at a lot of his policies, he's not trying to help them with student loan debt. A lot of young people can't move out of their mamas and their daddy's houses. A lot of young people aren't having children anymore because it's not financially feasible for them to do so. If you look at his policies, he's not talking about helping them like a Bernie Sanders or Andrew Yang was. And so a lot of young people they feel disenfranchised. In fact, it is said that a lot of young people are, especially a lot of young Black people, are not going to vote for Joe Biden because I think they are more aware than we think they are. And as far as moving the ball, I think the Civil Rights Bill of Voters' Rights was the last thing that we did as Black people as far as politics are concerned. And so here we are in 2020 talking about moving forward and making history. What is history going to do for us as Black people? It's not going to do anything for us as Black people. And, you know, as far as this lift every voice plan that he has, that's symbolism. All it is, and we know that Joe Biden and Kamala both were against reparations. All that initiative that he has is a way to tell Black people how to spend our money opposed to giving us our reparations. We don't need him to tell us what to do with our money. It's all symbolism. And a lot of that bill or his initiative talks about more policing. Both of them are pro-police. We don't need any more policing as far as Black people is concerned. So I think we really need to look inside of that Lift Every Voice initiative and stop going on why name it Lift Every Voice? Why do you think he did that? Because he knows that Black people love symbolisms and not tangibles. You know, most of us won't even look at it. We'll just say, oh, Joe Biden did something for us.
Yeah.
So I think that's part of the problem.
I would like to say right here, I was an English major, so let's look at our prepositions. We're talking about what Joe Biden can do for us. Let's talk about the preposition to. What has this current administration done to us?
I like where we're going here.
We are suffering from the ravages of COVID-19 in greater numbers than anyone else. Why are we doing this? Because we have an administration whose policy it is to keep hands off and to not do anything. That's what he has done to us. He has sent armed forces, armed guards into Portland and threatened to do it in other places. They have named Black Lives Matter, which is a movement, an enemy of the people. Black Lives Matter wants what we're all talking about here. We want justice. We want fairness. And we want a system that will work for us. So that's what's being done to us. We need to get the foot of Donald Trump, Bill Barr, and their minions off of our necks, because they are on our necks as sure as that policeman's knee was on the neck of George Floyd.
Fully agree. And it's much bigger than that. I think that for young people that are listening, it is so much bigger than us. It is so much bigger than just us as Black people and the grievances we have here in America. And I think that if young people are listening, what I want to tell young people is please understand that this is one of the largest, most important elections that we have ever had in America. And
wait, one second, Chris, and I want you to continue your point.
Yes.
That line is used every election. I just want to say that line, and it's started to become a fear tactic, is used every election. But go ahead.
I'm going to continue. So yes, this is the most important election of our time, because we have never had a dictator in office. We have never had election interference. We have had capitalism interference, right? But we've never had election interference, foreign interference to help elect an American president. And so when you follow the money and you look at, capitalism in America and how capitalism in America was founded on cotton money, and where that cotton money is going right now, and how that cotton money is being used in the White House currently, the policies that are coming out of the White House are intentionally, yes, targeting Black people, but that's not it. Trump is destabilizing America, and we are no longer going to be the world superpower if we have 4 more years of Trump. Trump is in his own pocket, and he is only interested, and this isn't just Trump, but this is the Republican Party, right? Trump and the Republican Party are only interested with padding their own pockets by any means necessary. And so our slogan for freedom has always been by any means necessary. Now is that moment. Now is that time, not just for us, but for America as a whole. Isn't it ironic that America was built on our backs, and yet now we have to be the faction of the country that saves it?
We're always saving the country, but that's a whole nother conversation.
Damn straight.
Damien Jones podcast, talking with a great group of spirited young ladies. Chris White, Pam Gaskin, Demetra K, talking about this vice presidential nominee and whether Democrats can win back the White House. Folks, let me tell you really quickly, we got to be responsible. Make sure you register to vote. If you're not registered to vote, as we have this conversation, go to my website right now, IamDamienJones.com, and make sure you are registered to vote, no matter what state you're in. Make sure you are registered, your family, your children, grandmother, whomever, person at the that hangs out at your house, whomever, get everybody registered so folks can go participate in this election, no matter who you vote for. And we're trying to inform you to make sure you make the best decision. Demetra, you mentioned earlier at the top of the show Joe's age, 77 years old. Okay. And I'm just going to be frank with you. On top of that age, we are seeing some cognitive and mental decline. Okay. And we just got to be frank about it. I mean, it's clear. It's clear. I don't work for him, so I ain't got to hide it. We see the interviews. We see he's, I know he stutters, but there's a difference between stuttering and it's not remembering certain things. And so it gives me pause for concern in whether he is fit in several years to continue to lead this country in the case that he wins. Demetra, kind of talk to us, if something happens to Joe, and this is for all ladies to take after Demetra gives her answer, but if something happens to Joe, God forbid, or his health does not hold up, are we confident that Senator Harris is poised and ready to step into the Oval Office and lead this country?
I mean, I think so. I think, on the surface, yeah, I think she is, but I'm always going to ask the question in regards to Black people. What does a Kamala Harris presidency look like for Black people? I mean, I like to look back what her, when she was the DA of San Francisco and Attorney General of California and a senator as well. Look at those things, and it wasn't very good for Black people. And so that's, as I said earlier, that's why I think white people will have a hard time putting her there, because Joe may not make it. I'm not trying to be morbid, but I mean, it's just, he might not make it. And so I think that's pretty scary for them. And in regards to Donald Trump being a dictator, or the first dictator of America, hell, Black people have always had a dictator in the White House. So what difference does that make for us? And also, what has Trump done to Black people that Joe Biden hasn't done? Like, I hear all these very, vague things, and I want to also make it clear that I'm not voting for Trump either. I'm nonpartisan. I am one of those people who may withhold my vote because there's nothing for me to go into the booth and vote for. As Malcolm X also admonished us, he says voting for the evil is still choosing evil. Voting for the lesser two evils is still choosing evil. So I choose not to do that. And I'm like, hey, we've been going through hell in this country for almost 500 years. What's 4 more going to hurt us? If anything, Black people are going to get ourselves together and we're going to unite. But also, keep talking about this Supreme Court justice pick. What has the Supreme Court done in favor of Black people since its existence? Name something that is done for us. And why didn't Obama pick a Black Supreme Court justice? He put a white woman and a Hispanic woman on the Supreme Court, and he didn't put a Black woman on there. So now all of a sudden it's just dire emergency to get one. I mean, like, we need to get real as Black people. All of that stuff, the symbolism, and it's not going to help us move the ball.
Yeah. Chris, hop in here on that particular question. If something happens to Joe, do we feel confident that Senator Harris can step in and do the job?
Yes, I feel very confident that Senator Harris can step in and do the job. I think that her record, as a prosecutor, is something that honestly helps her out in that regard. In the sense that she's proven that she can be tough on crime. And I think that right now, because of the political climate and the social climate in our country, that's something that white people frankly want to see. If this is a game, right, of galvanizing a base, then I think that we have to think about both sides of the aisle here. We cannot just think about our own faction of people, not saying that we won't and we shouldn't hold them accountable for doing things specifically for Black people, because that is what is needed most right now. But I think we have to give her a chance to do that. And I definitely think that she's ready. I think that her poise and her grace under pressure is something that is also very needed. I think that where Joe Biden falls short, she can pick right up. And I think that right now, this is a team that, much is yet to be seen. I think that when they hit the debate stage, or when Biden hits the debate stage, a lot will be revealed then.
Absolutely. I am looking forward to the debates. Pam, hop in here. Your thoughts on Senator Harris stepping in the role.
Oh, I think that she is more than ready to, should something happen to him, to assume the role of president, and will acquit herself nicely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's it.
Yeah. So let me ask you this. And so there are other groups that particularly did not kind of get their needs met in this process. We know that Elizabeth Warren and her folks are, wanted to see her in the role, and they are not happy particularly. We know that the Bernie-crats are rabid dogs, and they are serious, and they did not get the outcome that they wanted. They don't think that Joe is progressive enough. Same with the Warren folks. They think Joe is just status quo, a centrist that goes along to get along. And particularly, I think you can hear some of that critique as it relates to Senator Harris as well. So when you talk about those hundreds of thousands of young people, and those Warren folks, those Yang folks, those Bernie folks, in the conversation that I'm hearing, and Demetria kind of alluded to it, some of these folks are talking about withholding their vote, possibly. Should those folks, I'll come to you on this one first, Chris, should those folks sit out? I mean,
absolutely not.
If they're not hearing their interest, go ahead.
I'm sorry. I'm so excited. My apologies for cutting you off.
No, you're good.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. We cannot withhold our votes. This is a do or die time for America. Genuinely, like do or die. And when I say die, I mean actually die, because COVID-19 is ravishing our communities anyway. And not just our communities, but it's ravishing America because we have an incompetent president in office right now. There is no reason why anyone in this nation should withhold their vote in this election. Now is not the time.
Yeah. I hear that passion in your voice, Pam. Your thoughts. Should folks sit out if they're not having their values spoken to in a particular candidate? They have that right to do so. Now, when we talk about the right to vote, a right means I can choose to do so or not to do so. You can't coerce me to do either one. Your thoughts? Should those folks sit out, or should they hold their nose and go cast a vote?
I think I agree with you. People have the right to vote or not vote. I will go back to what I said at the beginning. Our democracy, and democracy is on the ticket this year. Mm-hmm. Our democracy works best when everyone who can vote does vote. But to the young people, I would say, do a little more than soundbite research. Do your own research. And when you finish, however you decide to vote, great. But you've made a decision to participate. This is a participative democracy, to participate in democracy. And this year, Chris is absolutely right. Democracy is on the ticket this year. It is much bigger than us. It is much bigger than us. So,
yeah, Demetri, your thoughts?
Well, as you said, I'm one of those people who are withholding my vote. Sorry. I'm withholding my vote. I'm not going to participate in this dog and pony show, if you will. And I like to go back to Malcolm X because I studied Malcolm X, and he says any black person that votes for the lying liberals is a traitor to their race, because we know that they continue to lie to us and they never deliver. They never deliver. All of us on this panel have been on this planet long enough to have seen what the Democrats say they're going to do and which they actually do not do. And as far as, President Trump and the COVID, yes, I will concede the point that it is because of him hesitating to call this thing a pandemic that we are where we are. But he is not the reason why black people are dying disproportionately due to the COVID. It is poverty, which was here long before Trump. And it is our unhealthy ways as black people also probably rooted to poverty that was there long before Trump. So let's tell the whole story. Let's stop trying to scare black people into thinking, Trump is this big boogeyman. He is a boogeyman, but he is not our boogeyman. Our boogeyman introduced himself to us on the shores when they was putting us on those slave ships. And so we've always had a boogeyman. Trump is not a new boogeyman to us. And as I always say, he is not our Frankenstein. We did not create him. It is not our job to get rid of him. But as for me, I'm going to hold my vote until either Joe Biden or Donald Trump offers me something in the way of tangibles for it. I'm not going to be forced into going into the booth. And also, as far as these sound bites, somebody said and younger people need to do their research past the sound bites. Well, I've done that. Not that I consider myself young, but I've done that, which is why I'm not voting, because I actually do my research, and I haven't found a reason to go in there and vote. And lastly, I'm going to say this, because I know somebody's probably going to say it. Well, our ancestors died for our rights to vote. No, they didn't. They died for us to go get something for that vote. And our blood is on their hands too when we continuously go into that booth and do not come out of there with something in our hands and say, hey, ancestor, I actually went in there and I helped us move the ball like you helped us move the ball during the civil rights movement.
Yeah. Mic drop right there. And so let me ask you, folks, I see your comments. Keep your comments coming. Damien Jones Podcast, having a great conversation. Make sure you give us a like, thumbs up, or a heart if you like the information that you are hearing today. I hope that it is helpful as you make your decision as to who you will vote for in what folks are calling the election of our lifetime. Folks are saying the soul of our democracy is at stake. Folks say that Trump is a boogeyman. Folks say that Trump is a dictator. Folks say that Trump is ruining our relationships on foreign shores and so forth and so on. But then on the other hand, folks are saying that racism, poverty, discrimination, Jim Crow, Jane Crow, black codes were here way before we knew anything about Trump. And so there's a dilemma, there's a conundrum for folks. When you talk about folks who may have a family member who has been locked up for 20 to 25 years due to the 3 strikes program. Now, how can we look at those people and ask them to go vote for Joe Biden by way of the 94 crime bill, so forth and so on? But then on the other hand, folks, there are immigrants. There are other groups who have felt disrespected by a Trump, children sleeping in cages and so forth and so on. And so how can we ask those folks to turn a blind eye to those type of issues? So Americans are at a crossroads, and we know that every election is so important. That said, is this ticket, we know what's on the Republican side: Mike Pence, Donald Trump, but now we have Joe Biden and we have Senator Harris. Given those things, is this Democratic ticket, given all those challenges that we've talked about today in this masterful conversation, is that a ticket that can bring America together? Because I think that we are probably the more polarized than I've ever seen America. We are more divided than I've ever seen. Folks are in their silos. They speak to the choir. Folks don't respect other people's view. If you disagree with me, then they block you on social media. They call you stupid. They call you a racist. We are more divided than ever. How can we bring this country together? Is this a ticket that can not only win back the White House particularly, but bring the soul of the nation back together, but bring Americans back together where we can talk with one another in a genteel, civil way and have a quality dialogue without disrespecting one another? I know Martin always talked about we have to learn how to disagree without being violently disagreeable, right? And so that comes with respecting folks' positions and their perspectives. But Pam, I'll come to you on this one. Is this a ticket that can bring America together?
No, I don't think that there is. That's a big ask for a ticket to bring America together. No, a ticket itself cannot do that. What will bring America together is Americans who make up their minds that they've had enough of this, and that they're going to have civil discourse. They're going to have, they're going to deal with the Constitution. They're going to be realistic about what can we accomplish and how best can we accomplish it. I think this ticket can lay out a pathway. They can propose a pathway to that, but I'm not sure that this ticket can, in and of itself, bring us together. I don't think that's.
Sounds like you're saying that it's such a lofty goal, given all the challenges.
It's a very. I mean, look at. Remember, we've gotten to the point where we are with this administration. This goes back to the 1970s and Nixon's Southern strategy. So when we talk about systemic, it's beaten into every system that we have. This whole thing, the post office, they've been trying to destroy the post office. They thought if they told the post office, you got to fund retirements for the next 100 years, and you got to do it this year. Yeah, that's why the post office is in the money shape it's in, because they've been trying to destroy the post office to make room for people who have invested in UPS and FedEx and all of that. It was a capitalistic driven decision. So no, the ticket can't do it. Only Americans can do that.
Yeah. Demetria, your thoughts? Can this ticket bring America together?
Absolutely not, because anytime you leave off Black people, and I don't care what anybody says, Black people are left off. Yeah, they're talking about things here and there, but we know that it's going to take 232 years for Black people to catch up to the wealth of white people who see about $171,000 average income of wealth, rather, to that of 17,000 Black people's wealth. And so we need reparations. And so until Black people are included in this American conversation, no, it's not going to bring America together. Take care of the people who took care of you. When I say you, white supremacy, take care of them first. And as far as she mentioned Southern strategy, well, I think that's a perfect time to bring up Joe Biden being a Dixiecrat. Joe Biden has always been a Dixiecrat, and he's gonna die a Dixiecrat. Listen to the things that come out of his mouth every day. And now he has, Kamala Harris on the ticket with him. I mean, really, if you look at her policies and her views, she's really a conservative. And the other thing, since us, Black women, I'll just put us all out there, we're so ebullient about Kamala being on the ticket. But is anybody ever going to address when she went after Joe Biden for, touching women? And she says, well, I believe the women. But that wasn't always their case on everybody else. Now, all of a sudden, she believes the women. Well, no, she believes the women in Joe Biden's case. But now, all of a sudden, she's on a ticket with Joe Biden. I mean, what's really going on here? Kamala is an opportunist. She's a flopper. And so she hasn't shown us as Black people that that we can be confident that she's going to go in the White House and actually do anything for us. She comes off as an opportunist and a liar who wants to get ahead in life by any means necessary. So no, I don't think this ticket is going to help bring America together.
Ooh, I mean, Demetria, tell us how you really feel, sister. Hey, Chris, I see you just hopped back in. The question on the table was, can this Democratic ticket bring America back together? We're more divided, we're more polarized than ever. Your thoughts, Chris? Chris, are you muted? You're still muted. Unmute yourself. You're probably talking. Okay, until she jumps back in. I don't know what's happening with her deal. But let me add, and I was meaning to get to that, but I want to ask this question. I want to come to that. Let's be honest about it, folks. On that debate stage, and I'm looking forward to these debates that are coming up in the next 80 or so days. Senator Harris stood on the stage and she took Joe Biden to task, and she called him essentially a racist. She called him out on his position on busing and segregation and so forth and so on. Right, and just and one of the reasons why Hillary took so many hits during her presidential run, because she has a lot of years that you could pick from and a lot of baggage. And so Senator Harris essentially called him out in that particular area. And so my question is, how do you come back from that? How do you spin that? How do you, because that the American people won't forget that. I think that was probably her shining moment during her presidential run. How do you talk to the American people about that? As Senator Harris, as she speaks to different groups across this country, how does she walk back from that? Pam?
I had to unmute myself.
No, you good. Go ahead.
Say again.
Well, I was saying, how does she come back from calling Joe Biden a racist? She called him a racist, and now she's standing beside him as his running mate. How does she explain that to the American people?
I don't know. I guess we're gonna have to wait and see.
Oh, great answer. Your thoughts, Demetria. I know we kind of talked about it a little bit last night. What are your thoughts on that piece?
Well, I mean, I've already seen the conversation starting to play out. People have changed. We got to get rid of Trump by any means necessary. It doesn't matter. It's like, well, you said he was a racist in a roundabout way a couple of months ago. So did that change all of a sudden because now you are potentially going to be the first, Black woman vice president? I mean, like, what gives? And I think we should be asking those things. What changed your mind, Kamala? And then you believe the women. Do you still believe the women? or did that go away now that you are on a ticket? I mean, if I was Kamala and I believe these women and that he was sexually inappropriate, don't you think she should be very afraid? I mean, like, so, you know, that's how they're going to try to spin it. You know, we need to get rid of Trump. I mean, but in my opinion, we're getting rid of Trump and getting Biden. What's the difference?
Yeah. Damien Jones podcast having a great conversation. I don't know what happened to our friend Chris Wright. Maybe had some technical difficulties, but if she doesn't come back in, we really appreciate her contributions to today's masterful conversation. Here's my last question, folks. Give us a like. This is your first time or you're a normal viewer. Give us a like as well. I also want to tell you, hey, we air every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 12:30 p.m. Central right here on the Damien Jones podcast. Make sure you are subscribing. If you're watching us on YouTube, hit that subscribe button. Make sure you are liking and following us on Facebook as well, because we bring you quality conversations. Here's my last question to you. Tell me, November 3rd, millions of Americans are heading to the polls, be it by mail, be it in person with our mask on and practicing social distancing and so forth and so on. I know states will do a great job in terms of keeping voters safe and healthy from that standpoint. But November 3rd, the election of our lifetime, the election with the soul of our democracy at stake. Ladies, what is your prediction? Who comes out victorious on November 3rd, 2020, Pam?
Well, it's all a matter of turnout, and my hope is that the Biden-Harris ticket prevails. We lived through 2016, and we saw what happened there. So, and that's how we're in this predicament. I just ask folks, you know, Demetria, you've brought up some really great points. And I'd like to have a side conversation with you, because what I'd like to know kind of what it is you want. What do you want? And what is a good strategy for getting it? Because it's, you know, to me, it's one thing to say, you know, they haven't done anything for Black people. But what do you want done for Black people? I've heard reparations. I've heard a few other things. But I would hope that on November 4th, we wake up. Because I've told my husband, if we wake up on November 4th and Donald Trump has been reelected, I'm just going to ask the Lord to take me home. I'm not getting out of my bed until he does so. Because I know for sure, one thing I know for sure, I cannot do 4 more years of this.
Yeah. Thank you for your honesty on that. Demetria, your thoughts. Where will we be on November 4th?
Well, please, Ms. Gaskin, don't do that. Don't ask the Lord to take you home. We gonna be all right regardless. Well, I would just say on November, I don't know. It's at this point, it's really anybody's, you know, race to win. Because, you know, a lot of people went to bed the night before election night last year, or like 4 years ago, rather, and thought, oh, you know, Hillary's got it. And we woke up and that wasn't the case. And so it's kind of hard to say what's going to go on. Me personally, it doesn't matter to me who's in the White House. Because, you know, as a Black person in America, the White House hasn't really made my life better at all, even though we had a Black president. So I think at the end of the day, it's for us to do for ourselves, save ourselves. And that's what I would say too. Although the Trump presidency has been very bad for a lot of people, and, you know, some people say it has been bad. One thing I think it will do is force us as Black people to really wake up and realize all we have is us. And, you know, to answer your question, Ms. Gaskins, I would like for anybody getting into the White House, well, for one, reparations is very important. We need money in our community. We need our people free from these prisons. We need real crime reform. A little land would be nice. How about helping to fix our educational systems? I mean, I can be here for a very long time, but, you know, let's start with money. You know, Black people, we need money too.
Yeah. Absolutely. I'll make sure I connect y'all and y'all can have more conversations on that. Let me thank our good friend Chris White for her contributions to today's conversation. Let me thank Ms. Pam Gaskin as well, our resident AKA. Let me also thank the wonderful Demetra K of the Demetra K Show. Make sure you check her show out as well, and also the Warzone podcast with my good friend Donovan Sadiq and Jerry Monroe as well. And also let me thank all the viewers today for your wonderful comments. And I hope this conversation today did something to help move you along in your decision. This tough decisions. For some it's tough. For some it's clear. It's clear cut. But for whoever, I hope this show has been helpful to you to make that decision and make sure that you are participating in this experiment we call democracy in America. But this has been a great show. Really appreciate you. Make sure you're following us on YouTube, subscribing as well, follow us on Facebook as well. Make sure you share this broadcast for those folks who didn't catch it live, but can be helped and blessed by it later on today and for days to come. But until next time, folks, continue to live your life with intensity, integrity, and intelligence. Appreciate you tuning in. This is the Damien Jones Podcast.
Adios. Thank you.
Thank you.